Go for it.
On September 11th, 2001, nearly 3,000 people died as a result of 19 hijackers crashing into a Pennsylvania field, the Twin Towers of the Pentagon. 9/11 is a day that lives in infamy across the U.S. Since that day, airport security has been enforced more, and the U.S. has paid more attention to immigrants. There's another thing that the U.S. started doing, flying attack drones, which is what I want to talk to you guys about today. I've done some extensive research, and I wanted to share a few things that I learned, such as when the first attack drone was, drone weaponry, and the number of drones registered, and the cost of drones annually. There are several sources that mention the first drone, but even the word drone is vague. When you hear the word drone being mentioned, you probably think about these. But this is just one of many. Earlier drones are described as some object that can be flown unmanned in a desired destination. There are civilian drones created many civilian drones created before someone had the idea to craft one with weapons. In 1849, Austrians used unmanned hot air balloons mounted with bombs to send into the city of Venice. Austria was at this time. Sometime after this, Samuel P. Langley had the idea of attaching a camera to his aerodromes as a way of taking bird's eye pictures from the sky. And today's drones are much different. They are still unmanned aircraft, but they can still be controlled by GPS software. The first GPS drone attack was a failure in 2002 when CIA launched a Predator drone near Kaust, a city near Afghanistan, that fired a Hellfire missile on Afghan civilians. The Hellfire missile has a kill radius of 50 to 65 feet. Number of casualties is not listed, but everything and everyone in that blast radius was killed immediately. That's the explosion site. The reason the missile was launched was because there was suspicion that Osama bin Laden was in that group of Afghans, but it was just a group of civilians. A spokesman from the Pentagon tried to defend the CIA because they believed the group wasn't just some innocent civilians, but they had no idea who they killed, so how can they know? To follow up, I wanted to talk about a couple attack drones that the military uses. So one drone I mentioned earlier was the Predator drone. The Predator drones today are armed with two laser-guided air-to-ground missiles called Hellfire missiles, which is these right there. Here they are. The Predator requires two people to operate, one for the flight purposes and another for the weapons module is shown right here. The next attack drone I wanted to talk about is called the Reaper. The Reaper features a couple weapons. Two different laser-guided bombs, the Hellfire, like on Predator, and the GBU-12. While the Hellfire has a kill radius of 50 to 65 feet, the GBU-12 has a radius of 200 to 300. To fly a Reaper, a crew of 3 is required. Like the Predator drone, the Reaper must have an experienced pilot and a gunman. A third crew member is not required, but they can have one as a missions coordinator. One other drone I want to talk about, not necessarily for military use, police are actually using this too. This is called the Vanguard Shadowhawk. They're relatively small helicopter drones, and they can be equipped with either a 40mm grenade launcher or a shotgun. It's kind of scary. The last thing I want to talk to you about was how much spending is projected on drones and how many that are registered in the US today. An article from Drone Center estimates a 26% increase in drone-related spending in 2018. That's $9.39 billion on drones for just military use. The Navy has allowed a 73% increase of spending towards drone-related spending for 2019. Funding for the Reaper drone also grew by $200 million, and it remains the largest drone budget item. Funding for anti-drone measures grew to $1.05 billion, and excluding the military, there are easily over 1 million registered drones in the U.S., just ranging from drones for government to hobbyist use. So I talked to you about the first drone attack, a few different attack drones and their weapons, and the spending of drones protected for 2019, plus the number of registered drones in the U.S. And though he's despised by some, I wanted to end with a quote by Donald Trump. It says, "Sometimes by losing a battle, you find a new way to win the war." And I find this true because 9/11 happened, our military advanced drastically in the next year, and now we have surpassed most countries technologically and are able to defend ourselves better. So thank you for listening to my speech on brief history of military backgrounds.